All right, folks. Hello again. It's Josh here from America reporting in. I got a haircut. Does it look good? I went to haircuttery, so it's a cheap haircut. Maybe you can tell. I don't know. Whatever. Just kind of gonna do an update here. Stuff's crazy. It's crazy. It's always crazy. Haven't had really any more bad news today, except we got proof of life from Donald Trump, so that's kind of bad news if you ask me. He has been gone, missing from public view. He's had no public appearances for like the last 3 days. So people were like, where is he? He doesn't have any public appearances on his schedule for this weekend either. So people were really wondering. There was a couple of stills, maybe a short video of him golfing this weekend or today. But they're not really super convincing. And some of them are like rehashed videos of him from like a month ago or something. So there's something shady going on with his health. We don't know what it is. Who knows? I don't know. We don't know what's going on, because this is the least transparent. It's actually kind of funny because it's the least transparent administration in history, but also he's the most transparent in that he just says whatever he thinks. So whatever, I guess. This video is going to be kind of similar to yesterday's video. I just wanted to recap a lot of our wins, our victories. We've had a lot, actually, as I've had time to go back through them today. I also had AI help me with a little bit, just putting them in context and like getting more of a scorecard or whatever, to kind of evaluate where we stand in history, and what can we do about it. So just a few of the things that I wrote down here his approval is consistently going down. It's not going up. It kind of will hover steady a little bit for a week or two, and then it'll kind of go back down again. This is because he is increasingly going underwater on all of his issues. He's underwater on the economy, on tariffs, on inflation, on immigration. These were all his key issues he ran on. And when you lose your base, when you go underwater on those issues, in many cases by 10 points or more, when you go underwater on your key issues, you are losing your base. You are fragmenting your base. You are done. He was already a polarizing figure, but when you lose your base, at that point, you're done, and it's just a matter of time, really. The point we are right now is basically a race to the bottom, where he's trying to consolidate power faster than he is crashing his approval ratings, right? I don't know what's going to happen first. We'll see. He's not doing well, though. He's not doing a great job on a lot of things. So his approval is just going down, 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 down. His lowest approval right now is around 37%. There's been a couple of polls that have put him at that by a couple of different pollsters. I think his average disapproval, or his average approval, is around 40%, which is, people compare this to his first term, and I don't think that that's a fair comparison necessarily. He was more underwater at this point in his first term. But I don't think that's apples to apples, to be honest. I think it's a different day, it's a different age. I just don't know that we can compare it realistically and say that, oh, he's more popular now than he was in his first term. I don't know that that's fair. It might be fair, I don't know, but I'm not convinced that that's the case. In any case, he's losing a lot of support, and he's going to be hard pressed to regain it. Moving on. The GOP is unpopular. The Democrats are unpopular. The GOP has like a 35% approval, and Democrats have like a 20 or 25% approval. That's pretty bad. It's really bad for Democrats, that they are so weak that they can't push back. They can't gain people to their side, even despite this incredibly unpopular president. So they've got a lot to fix. But the good news is we've seen patterns like this before in our history. The parallel is to the New Deal coalition in the 30s, when we had a lot of progressive, improvements, gains, whatever, to, policies. I guess a lot of progressive policies were implemented in the New Deal coalition, and that's because both the Democrats and the Republicans crashed in approval, and we had to figure out new political coalitions and alignments. So I think that has room to happen here again. We can really come through this as a better and stronger democracy if we pay attention to our past and learn from it, and adapt our lessons to our current situations. This gives us a lot of opportunity for renewal and reinvention. Democrats in particular can really reinvent themselves. They got kind of shimmied into being the pro-institution party with Biden and subsequently Harris, and a lot of people actually want change. And so I think that their support for the institutions is as much what lost them the race as anything. And people are saying that the institutions as they exist are not working for us. And so Democrats, if they figure this out, they can come out and say, we're going to rethink our institutions. They're already burned to the ground, so we might as well build something new. We're not going back to the old ways because it wasn't working, obviously. So, yeah, so we'll see. The resistance is continuing to organize and, resist. We are planning more protests. We are networking. We are organizing. We are creating mutual aid networks. We are developing strategies to counter ICE raids. Los Angeles has pioneered a lot of resistance strategies to the ICE raids that we will translate and adapt to other portions of the country. So we are adapting, organizing, we are strategizing, and we're not always visible, but we are always there. It is hard because there are a lot of things that are just overwhelming and oppressive, and there's a lot of despair in the country right now. There's a lot of hopelessness, a lot. But we are pushing through despite that, and we are still moving forward every day with more and more strategies. More and more leaders are stepping up all the time. Democrats are getting new benches of candidates for office. Graham Plattner in Maine. I think I saw something today that showed him up by like 13 points over Susan Collins. If Democrats could flip Susan Collins' seat, that'd be massive. And he's like an oyster farmer or something, so he's got potential to really bring some heat. Yeah, we're organizing, we're planning, we are developing new strategies, we are coming up with new ideas of how our institutions should work, how they should look, all of that stuff. We don't have a chance to implement them yet, but we have ideas. We have some things that we are working on. Democratic governors are leading in a lot of things right now. My governor, Wes Moore, is doing a lot of good things, and he's pushing back on the president. Governor Pritzker, Governor Newsom's doing an incredible job. There are Democratic governors who are meeting the moment, and we are supporting them, and we will support them more. The judicial pushback is happening at all levels. Sorry, that's my son driving. He's got his go-kart or whatever. Judicial pushback is happening at all levels. There was just last night a judge denied the ability of the government to deport 600 Guatemalan children back to Guatemala. Another judge refused to allow fast-track deportations for immigrants that have been here for more than a few days or whatever. I think it mostly has implications for immigrants that are not near the border. So that puts another big constraint on Donald Trump and his agenda. Sorry, I'm trying to motion to my son to keep going. The federal appeals court decision against his tariffs is a massive, I cannot overstate how massive a blow that was to Donald Trump. It reinforced a lower court's ruling, which was itself a massive blow against Donald Trump and his agenda. So the judges are holding up, even though SCOTUS is kind of waffly, maybe even in his pocket. I think John Roberts is starting to realize some of the damage. He said some things publicly lately that's like, okay, John Roberts, well, you can do something about it. But even if they are in his pocket, they don't take a lot of cases a year. They only take like 100 cases or something, if that. They do some work on the shadow docket, but they don't have the capacity to drastically remake our country. They can hobble it and redo some things, but even then, the lower courts are still figuring out ways to throw wrenches into Donald Trump's agenda, which is good. Very good. Grand jury pushback is also working. I mentioned this yesterday as well. Grand juries are not indicting these people that the Department of Justice is trying to charge with these heinous felonies and overcharge people who are resisting. Sandwich thrower, he's got a misdemeanor now. Great. It's great. He's a national hero. No pun intended. Yeah. I think there's even military non-cooperation going on. We saw it at the parade. We know that happened. There's been a lot of confirmation of the malicious compliance of the armed forces at the military parade. We are starting to see some of that, I think, in the way these troops are being deployed in DC. I think that they are deliberately being given stupid and ridiculous assignments to kind of, I think there's a message there. I don't quite know what that message is, but I think that there's a message that our military leaders are trying to send us. Town halls are going so bad for the GOP. They are literally getting booed out of their own events. They are just leaving because they're getting booed so loudly and heavily and aggressively. The people in their own red districts are fed up. MAGA is ticked off about the 600,000 Chinese student immigrant or Chinese student approvals that Donald Trump has done. Great job, buddy. It was I think the cap was previously like 300,000, and MAGA was mad about that one. Now Donald Trump has doubled it, and MAGA's mad about that. They're also mad about the Epstein stuff, and the Epstein victims. A lot of them are going to testify, or not testify, but they're going to do a press conference on the steps of the Capitol on September 3rd. So watch out for that. I think that's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of protests planned for Labor Day tomorrow, September 2nd, on Congress coming back. There's protests planned. And I'm sure that the Epstein victims will have support there at their event as well. Also, here's the thing that I keep thinking about. So I think the critical question, the absolute critical question right now is going to be what happens in the midterms. Because the midterms will be the final backstop. That is the final guardrail we have. If our midterms go poorly, America's in trouble and the whole world is in trouble. But I don't know that they're going to go poorly. The reason I think that, Democrats have a +8 poll advantage on the generic ballot for the House. The last time they had a performance like that, they took 40 seats in the House in 2018. If they do that, again, that will overcome any gerrymandering from the GOP. They will still have a majority, a solid majority, and they will be able to put some real checks and balances on the president. Further, if he keeps overreaching over the next year, which he probably will, you've got room for a massive blowback. In the 30s or 1920s, something like that, there was a massive Democratic resurgence from the last time that the Republicans tried to implement high tariffs. It was the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. You can look it up if you want to. But Republicans did that, and it went so poorly that Democrats swept like 70% of the seats in the House and the Senate or something like that. It was ridiculous. So if history holds, then we could potentially see something like that again. And again, the gerrymandering that the GOP is so aggressively attempting right now would completely backfire. It would be completely useless. So that's good. The Senate seats, there's a real chance Democrats could pick up the Senate as well. If they do that, Donald Trump is in dire trouble. If they can do that. The trick is if we get to the midterms. That's the biggest outstanding question right now. The reason that's a question is because Donald Trump has manufactured national emergency after national emergency to try to issue some executive order to deploy the military or to issue tariffs or to cancel the CDC, whatever they're doing. It's always under the guise of some made-up national emergency. And what he's trying to do right now is with ICE, he's trying to provoke violence from us because he knows the only way he can control things is that if he instigates violence on our behalf through provocation from the ICE raids and all of that stuff, the kidnappings, all of this very visible and terrifying show of force. If he can provoke some kind of violence and declare some national emergency and try to use the Insurrection Act, he will deploy military across the country, okay? And that will force people, that will terrify people from going to the polls. that will result in, that's how he will rig the elections. That, combined with the fact that he's trying to cancel mail-in voting, is how he is planning to rig the elections. Because people, even if there are military at the polls, if they can mail their vote in, it doesn't matter. They will still vote. They will just mail it in and avoid the troops. So he's trying to deploy troops to the polls and cancel mail-in voting. It's going to be hard for him to do both of those. It's possible he can do both of them. Never underestimate Donald Trump, because he will violate all the norms and all of the expectations and still muscle things through. But if we can prevent him from either one of those, it will thwart his attempt to rig the elections in the midterms. So he has to be able to kill mail-in voting and deploy troops nationwide. That's a big lift. And he's getting increasingly incompetent. He's just lashing out. He can't even do the things he wants to do because he's going cuckoo. He's crazy and he's losing it. So that's my dose of optimism for today. We have a real chance. We are pushing, we are fighting, we are doing our best. We need our allies across the world to take appropriate steps to constrain Donald Trump on the international stage, continue to humiliate him and to stop him and to thwart him, and support the American people any way that you can. We will have a lot of rebuilding to do after this. We are committed and dedicated to it. So for all of our allies that may be listening, know that we are committed to you and to ourselves, and we will figure this out. We will change things for the better after we get through this. We have a long ways to go, but we are walking day by day through this absolute disaster. So God bless you all. I love you all. Let's keep fighting. We're going to do this together. The power rests with the people. Godspeed.